What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Sirr Love from Phase 6. Here's another snippet from Chasing Greatness.
I mean, when I look at what COVID has done, so COVID has done, obviously shook the world, right? And the effect that I see it having on entertainment, when newcomers in the game, it can be inspiring, right? Because the playing field is level. I don't think a lot of people recognize the value of that. So the artists that had, a $20,000 budget for their video now has to shoot the same video with their iPhone in the bedroom that you got to shoot, right? And it leveled the playing field. It made the viewing audience more accepting of lesser quality. They want to focus on the creativity versus the visual stimulation. Right, which gives a lot of independent artists the opportunity to really get out here and do something amazing. You can keep attention longer because there's less distractions, right? So you can really get, have an impact with your music. But what I'm seeing, even a artist that a friend of mine is managing, and she asked me to come in and do some consulting with, they're so focused on perfection that they're not putting out the product. And by the time they get the product out, COVID's going to be over, and it's no longer going to be acceptable to release content at that quality level or as acceptable, especially for the level of the artist. I mean, this artist is working with a multi-platinum producer and all the works, whatever. And you can't move like that post-COVID. And no matter what artist or what team you're working with or whatever, budget constraints are always a thing. Like so many cats out here that you see, as we said earlier, look like they're stunting. They're really not. You see them on stages, backstage with this person, on stage with this person, in the club popping bottles, blah, 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 blah. Wow. But the real story for all these artists is they're broke. They got a hit song on the radio, but they broke and trying to figure it out. Wow. And so this leveled the playing field. So people like that were scared to showcase their records, to do a visual, I think they're losing. And then you have new artists that don't know what they're doing, as you mentioned. Right. They're just like bumping it. We're just going to do something. And it's hitting. It's sticking, And I just think that's the space that we're in. Unfortunately, there's always going to be a deficit in artists recognizing the business just because artists are creative people.
This is true.
I just don't think you make an album by saying, how does publishing work? I think you just go in the studio and say, man, I got some shit.
And just go make an album.
You just go do it.
Just go do it. No, that's right. That's facts. Yeah, no, that's real. It is. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I just feel for people, but I know that everybody's doing the best that they possibly can in this world, and it's great how they're doing it. So I'm just hoping that things are really starting to make a change. I mean, audio in general has really seen a rise during this time. Crazy. I mean, podcasts are back. Radio is back. Like the theater of the mind. You know what I mean? That whole concept is coming back. And like you had mentioned earlier, Joe Rogan, just 100 mil. But the brothers been putting in work, though.
Deal, man.
Yeah.
He probably got some percentage for every person that signs up, per whatever, right? During this period. And the biggest thing is Spotify's value went up 13%, 17%, something like that. Yep. Right? Which means if you look at the value of the company and you add that percentage to them, Spotify, the organization, from an accounting perspective, made $5 billion by giving him that money. When you do the math. When you sit down and do the math and say, okay, the organization is already valued at X amount. When you add the additional percentage, the stock price increase, blah, 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 because the stock price went up. The organization made a few billion out of that deal, even though they paid him out 100 million plus, all the other accelerators on top of that.
Do you think that I saw a post on, I think it was Twitter, I can't remember who said it, but they said something to the nature of like, do you think that rappers are going to start having podcasts now, trying to get podcast money, seeing as how Joe Rogan just went ahead and did that? Do you think that might be a possibility?
Yeah, I think everyone's doing it. I mean, it's the gold hunt, right? Everyone's going to jump in and try to do some things. It's a new market. And in order to be successful, you got to be first you got to be the best or you got to cheat, right? And
That's
Joe
true.
was number one in the space. He was the best. You know, there's other people that's been in this space longer that are going to have a lot of value that transition from radio to podcasting. You know, Charlamagne's doing a lot of great things. Dave Ramsey's got a huge following. You know, there's a lot of people that have a huge following in that space. And, you know, the real estate for podcasters just went up. So when a neighborhood's going up, you know, people want to be a part of it.
Yeah, everybody want to rise.
Everybody want to move in.
That's true. That's true.
The barriers to entry are extremely low. What do you need? A microphone? Zoom?
And here we are.
Right.
No, that's real. No, that's real. That's definitely real. I'm like I said, man, I'm just happy that things are moving in a positive direction. Because the world stood still for a while, you know, and as everybody, you know, dealt with the issues that came with it and the seriousness that was definitely behind every handshake or greeting, you know, people were, for the most part, you know, considerate of everyone else. And, you know, I'm happy to see, you know, that we are still in this together, you know, though I'm still saddened about, you know, how we're kind of progressing as far as a country. But in the end of the day, you know, man, my hearts go out to all of those that lost, you know, loved ones. And, you know, but
you know, this time it's changed a lot of things, but it's also created a lot. There's a lot of weird energy going on in this space right now. I think about it from a music perspective, like Tekashi coming out in the way that he's been moving in the space. I mean, this cat is a super troll, and this cat has the ability to create attention. And when you look forward in the future, it's a crazy debate my wife and I were having, is that the future is less about being real. It's more about being, I don't want to say being popular. It's not just popularity. It's being, it's not just relevancy. It's more being seen. You know,
facts.
Tekashi doesn't have to be the best rapper in the game to get the most awareness. He doesn't have to be, you know, the person that plays by the rules. He doesn't have to do any of the standards and norms that we previously judged somebody by. He doesn't have to do it. Donald Trump's the same way, right? Donald Trump is not doing anything presidential. He just focused on getting the eyeballs. I'm going to give you one dramatic event. Before you can focus on that one, I'm going to give you another one, and after a while, I'm going to create a new normal around the way that I'm approaching it. I'm normalizing, you know, my view and imposing it on the world. Tekashi is doing the same thing. And when I sit down and look at it, and I go, these two are not doing anything wrong. The whole country is doing this, right? We're all getting on social media and creating a false reality and imposing that false reality on the world, telling people this is who we are, this is what we do. Even if you're on TikTok, you know, people are trying to say, hey, I'm fun. Hey, I'm funny. Hey, I'm this, right? And it's more tangible qualities. It's less, look at me, I'm a superstar and I'm pretty and this. It's like, look at my raw creativity, but it's still an over exaggeration of said raw creativity or raw whatever it is. And Instagram, over exaggeration of who you are, what you've done, what you've accomplished. You know, Twitter, an over exaggeration of your views and your stances on things. And we're really getting to a place where all these vehicles that we're putting in front of us to represent us are what we're defining ourselves at. Meanwhile, people are just extremely empty, right? They're extremely empty. And I look forward and I go, what does this look like in the future? Because in the future, you know, like I said at the beginning, I'm in tech, right? It's only but so long. I think Elon Musk just did another interview with Rogan, I think. Was it Rogan? Someone how gaming is going to be it's going to be normal. Like it's going to be so real that it's undistinguishable. And I've done a lot of work in the VR space, so I'm like, yeah, that's 100% true.
Well, yeah, because I saw that interview where he was talking about there was I think Unreal Engine did this, and they had a scene in the I guess it was in the forest, and it looked so real. Like you swore it was real, but it was just No, it was all computerized, and I think we are going to move in that space. But getting back to what you were talking about with Tekashi, do you believe that somebody is going to check him? Just to be like, hey, I know you're out, you free, you're doing what you're doing, but do you think someone is going to pull him to the side one more time and be like, hey, you might want to chill out the way you're doing it?
That's already happened. They can't stop that. I think at this point, if it's street code, you got to do what you got to do. Someone got to knock them off. But I think this is a challenge to the street code. Me personally, I'm not a fan of the street code. Just being straightforward and being honest, right?
Right.
As a person that had to experience so many things associated with it, I think there's just a better way that we can conduct ourselves and get money and grow and live together. But according to the codes, he was supposed to have gotten dealt with a long time ago.
This is true.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's not happening is probably a symbol of something. It's a symbol of change. Or is money more important than the values, right? Because this dude is an earner for a lot of people still, regardless. Are these organizations as aggressive and violent as they say they are, right? It's one thing to be violent in the darkness. It's another thing to be violent in the light. This dude has the light on. So when you do something to touch this man, it's kamikaze. Like you're going down.
You're going down, right?
Are you bred like that? Are you? You talk that, but are you bred like that? I think it's really challenging a lot of concepts. And if anything, he's making it acceptable to snitch. Like, I don't agree with the concept, but then at the same time, as a people, I think that's a conversation that we should have, right? Like,
is it okay to do that?
Yeah, would there be as much crime in the neighborhood if we, talked about the crime in the neighborhood?
Well, see, there's a difference though, right? Because there's a difference between snitching and, I guess, telling the truth or telling on someone, if you want to break it down like that. Like, right. Snitching would mean you involved in the fact that you are in the act with the person. Y'all got caught and you turn and you literally ratted this other person out. Like, it's not like a crime was committed in the neighborhood and police are going around knocking on the doors and saying, hey, do you know anything that happened? That's not snitching, because you weren't a part of because you weren't a part of the actual situation to literally snitch on someone else. You know what I'm saying?
I think what
you might be informing, I give you
information. Is being a rat. Like, the concept of being a rat. Like, we both did something together. I got jammed. I don't want to go down. I'm putting you under the bus.
But that's what snitching. But that's what snitching really is.
No, because snitching is also, calling 12 because the dope boy lived next door. Like, I think snitching is a term that's allocated to people that are in that space. If you're living by that code, you're not telling nothing to nobody, period.
But right? You're not. But that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm trying to say. How do you know? Just because you're living adjacent to someone who's in that space does not necessarily mean that you're in that space.
No, if grandma calls the cops on the trap house next door, then that's just what it is, right?
That's not snitching.
That's not snitching, right?
That's what I'm talking about, though.
If 16-year-old grandson does, regardless if he's in the game or not, he's gonna be viewed as a snitch. It's the truth. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
I mean, I get that. I mean, that's the viewing of it, but people view things, wrong all the time. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, when it comes,
this is an environment where wrong can get you, can
get
your life.
Yeah, that is right? True too. Yeah.
So it's like, I think that, and then I don't necessarily agree with calling the cops, because, you see how that goes, right?
Well, yeah.
that they're going to come into the neighborhood, escalate the problem. Somebody's going to get shot for no reason. Now, it's not going to happen every time, but it's likely.
It's like
the stuff that we see on TV is, people think that, those are the minority. No, those are majority from this perspective. Like, that stuff happens regular. That's the reason why people don't call the cops. But outside that, I digress. That's a whole nother pathway. I just feel like he's coming into the game, disrupting it in such a way that it's putting a lot of eyeballs on him, and it's allowing him to increase his market value, to increase his streams, increase his plays, to increase his viability, to increase his awareness. Which at the end of the day, when you look at music, you look at the business, it's all about conversions. How can I convert? Whatever, like every artist has a conversion rate, right? 3% of the people that listen to your music will become fans. 10% that listen to your music will become fans. Whatever. You want to get the highest conversion rate possible, right? And that comes from tapping into your audience, having high quality content, having high quality music. All the other variables and things that we use to measure quality are some of the things that help increase conversion rate, right? Other things can also be, popularity, who you're associated with, different other metrics around that, right?
Right.
But outside of your conversion rate and all the things you can do to increase your conversion rate itself, you still have to increase the audience so that you can convert. So one thing that he does amazingly is that, his conversion rate could be small. A lot of people that say his name don't listen to his music.
That's fact.
Right? But so his conversion rate is probably really low, right? However, his reach is really massive. And because of that, he's increasing his conversion, right? So he had a choice over reach or, all the other, or conversion. And he's leaning on the reach side, and I think it's a successful strategy. And as long as he can get his audience to stay consistent, to stay with him, because at the end of the day, this kid is speaking to people that are outside of that community that want to get in. What is his messaging? What is his look? Hey, this is a kid that wasn't really street, that wasn't really gangster, that wasn't really this, that was able to infiltrate those environments, become accepted into those environments, and then navigate, move with those environments, and then challenge those environments, then mock those environments. I mean, that's a creative and compelling story to a person that's on the outside that just wishes they can be cool or get whatever credit they're trying to get from being affiliated with that type of environment. Okay. I'll never forget when I was in high school, and I had to transfer schools aggressively, and I went from a really posh, uppity environment or whatever to a real violent environment. Like crunk music is out, they fighting first day of school, like someone get their head bust open with a bat and you take them out in the ambulance, right? So I get transferred into this environment, and now all my friends are Bloods, right? Like I never joined the gang or nothing, but that was just the affiliation around me. That's because that's what they were. And, that was just my friends, but they did what they had to do, whatever. And I had a friend that came from the previous environment that I was in, the type of environment where we rode horses and played hockey and, watched Brink, I came from, these guys are coming back and going, man, how did you get those friends? How did you make them become your friend? And I remember hearing these conversations like, what? Like, how did I make them become my friend?
Right.
I don't know.
This is talk. I don't know.
Fuck that question. So but the allure of these guys when they would come around my new environment and see me accepted into this space was really crazy. And then I had friends that I had old friends meet my new friends and join gangs.
Wow.
Straight up. And I'm sitting there looking like, what the fuck are y'all doing? Just because they wanted to be in so bad. Like that allure on the outside is just crazy. And 6ix9ine speaks to that audience, man.
How many people do you think he's going to affect with that mindset, if you could guess?
He's not affecting people with the mindset. The mindset's already there. I think he's just channeling it.
Okay, how many people do you think he can channel it to?
Millions, bro. I can't even quantify that.
I encourage everybody to become a member at phase6.com, PHASEVI.com. Come on over to the website, become a member, soak this game up, keep building your career. There's no other place like it online, in my opinion. Come to phase6.com, become a member, join up with the squad, and let's continue growing. So honestly, if you want to get your voice heard, if you want to get your question answered, send us a message, 404-442-4792.